What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Pav back at you again with another reaction on an NF video. Today I'm looking at a NF Rare interview. From what I've seen, like people talking about in the comments and stuff like that, just to get an idea of what the video is about. A lot of people are saying, you know, like from the title, it says Eminem influence, first writing music and the Mansion album. So I'm quite interested to see what he has to say about Eminem. Obviously, Eminem being one of my favorite artists, I'm always curious and always on the lookout to see what people say about him. As I'm sure you guys, you know, NF fans are always looking out for things to see what people are saying about NF and things like that. So obviously, I know you guys love the NF reactions. So yeah, I want to get into this. Possibly, if there's anything that I can pick up on there, maybe share my thoughts on it. You know, just give my opinion on what I'm listening to. But yeah, without further ado, guys, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you might want to see next. It's sort of like out of the music type videos from NF. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go.
It's like a different world. It just depends on the show. Sometimes you get on stage and you're like, I want to get off stage right now. Like, just because, like, any job, like, you have a bad experience sometimes, and sometimes as an artist, any artist who's performed, like, sometimes you'll get on stage and the whole set you're just thinking about what you're not feeling, what you're not liking. It's just really distracting. But most of the time, especially for, like, these club dates, for me, it's like, people will laugh at me sometimes because I'm like a pretty chill person when I'm off stage, but like when I get on stage, it's like a switch, you know what I mean, for me. And I'd rather be in front of 350 hardcore fans and like 10,000 people sitting down, you know.
Facts.
It gets frustrating for me if I'm like at it.
Facts, man. Like I've seen that with a few artists too. They'd rather do like a smaller, more intimate venue than rather than like stand, like you said, stand in front of like 10,000 people. Because the atmosphere completely changes between having like a massive audience as opposed to having a smaller audience that you can more like engage with more. So I definitely get where he's coming from with that. I, for one, definitely prefer a smaller audience as opposed to something like really big with loads of people. Like when I saw Eminem, I saw Eminem in Ireland at one of the festivals over there. And basically there was like there was about 50 to 60,000 people, something like that. It was crazy. Like it was the final performance of the weekend, and Eminem had main stage, and the next biggest stage was with Prodigy. And basically it was like a 40-60 split, with Eminem taking obviously the 60%, and then everyone else was at Prodigy, and then basically all the rest of the stages with any acts were like really minimal, just filled with the hardcore fans. And at that festival there was like, I think there was like 100,000 people. So yeah, so there was like a lot of people at that, and I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I was pretty close to stage 2, but I get the whole thing of like being in an intimate setting. It's definitely a lot better than a huge crowd
At an event, and you got to make a living and you're trying to grind and stuff. But I'd rather make a lot less money and do clubs and like keep me and my fans happy, you know.
Yeah,
like I love
exactly
creating, being in the studio. That's like my thing, because it's letting me express myself, you know what I'm saying. But as I start doing a lot of club shows and stuff like that, and the energy I'm starting to get, I feel like it's gonna start like back and forth for sure. If you're doing a sucky show, it's like, I'd rather be recording, you know what I mean? But now that I feel like I'm starting to get a fan base, because I used to.
Yo, hold up, man. Hold up. This audio from this video is bugging. All right, let's see if that bit better.
You know what I mean? But now that I feel like I'm starting to get a fan base, because I used to go to shows, and sometimes, man, even artists that are established, they'll have like the craziest sucky show ever. It's like you show up and you're like, this is not good, you know? But then the next week you have a show and you're like, wow, that was amazing. Why can't I do them all like this? So I'm just looking forward to next year, like doing club tours, just because that's my environment. I feel like that's where my fans want to be. They want to be packed in a room, like vibing out, listening to music, that environment, smoky, dark, like, you know, let's just vibe out for an hour, you know?
Interesting.
I fell in love with listening to music probably when I was around 11. I like developed a passion for like I love this. I don't know. It makes me feel something. And then around like 12 years old, I wanted more. So I just started writing my own music. It sucked really bad, but you know, it developed into like a huge passion in it.
Hey, at least he's honest. At least he's honest. How many people could actually be real with themselves and say like things I was writing when I first started, like it was trash? I mean, 99% of people who have ever touched any sort of microphone, when they first ever started writing at a very young age, when they discovered that's what they wanted to try and do, would have 100% would have been trash. No one was that. I don't think anyone was that gifted. Yeah, not even Eminem.
A huge part of my life. I also felt like as an artist, it started to make me mature more. My sound started to mature more because all I listened to for like 4 years straight was Eminem, and that was it, you know? And obviously, when that's all you listen to, it's a huge, you know, he was a huge influence, so it was like, you could hear it in my music too much. But I didn't understand that, you know? I was just like, oh, I want to rap this way, you know? And then once I started...
See, just to sort of touch on what he's saying there, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if you go to like some of the very early music, for example, like someone like what J. Cole put out, he sounded a lot like Eminem, just the way that he was putting his raps down and stuff like that. But yeah, I see what he's saying there in terms of like the problem is when you only listen to one artist, it's easy to think that that artist is the best or is the greatest, or you know, unless you really expand your catalog or your encyclopedia up here of what rap and hip hop is, you'll always think that that one person is the greatest because that's all you know. The same sort of thing with him, because he was only ever really listening to Eminem, he ended up adopting pretty much his style and then started off with that. But that's natural. People will always be influenced by the generation that was before them. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure people, I'm not going to say I'm sure people have said it. I mean, it's 100%. I think that's probably why a lot of people initially were just writing NF off. You know, why he wasn't being accepted into the larger audiences, because everyone just thought, oh, here we go. It's just another white guy trying to be Eminem. You know, but he's admitting himself that, yeah, he was a massive influence, but that's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, most of the big artists now were all influenced, you know, and adopting his style and his way of doing things. It's just what happens. Just like Eminem adopted a lot of the, you know, the greats before him. So it's you know, that is what it is. That's just a natural progression of music.
Started listening to a lot of different kinds of music. It started kind of changed the kind of music I did, you know, into something that's more unique, you know. I just let whatever I'm feeling happen.
Natural progression of music. You're influenced by someone, you come into the music game, you sound like them, and then eventually you start to grow your own style. Hopsin was exactly the same. You know, it sounded exactly like Eminem to the point where people started to label him as the black version of Eminem. But again, that's nothing to be ashamed of. To be put into the same sentence or by any comparison to him is, you know, if you said that to me, you said, oh, compare you to Eminem, I'll be like, all right, okay, cool. Well, I mean, I ain't gonna be pissed off at that, not one bit. Compare me to Eminem as much as you want.
I have really songs that are still emotional but laid back. Maybe they're vocal, you know, they're more vocal as far as like singing, or they're just calm. And then I have really intense songs. But for me, it's really whatever the instrumental makes me feel. I'm very involved in like being in the studio, you know, listening to tracks, making the tracks with the producers I work with. The track really does steer me in a direction and brings an emotion out of me. It's hard for me to write without instrumentals because I feel like I'm just walking around, you know, I don't feel the emotion as much, but as soon as that instrumental hits me, it's like...
I don't think I've ever seen or heard of anyone write without listening to an instrumental, to be honest with you. I mean, one, I think it would be difficult to actually write the song to be structured on that beat. And two, again, yeah, a lot of the time the instrumental is going to guide the theme of what you're saying, you know, of what's being said in the song. It's going to guide the content. You know, you're not going to have a really upbeat, crazy club kind of tune, but talking about, you know, depression and stuff like that. That's not going to happen. But if you have like one of the beats like what he has, then you're going to be able to talk about emotion and struggle and things like that, and it's going to suit the beat. But if you put that to a club tune, it's not going to work. So you obviously need you're obviously going to need the instrumental.
Like words just come out, you know. When I make records, some people I think maybe come up with a name like way before. I don't really plan anything. It's just more like let it happen and we'll come up with the title. Like my songs are going to come together, especially right now, because it's all about what's happening to me, you know. And then I came up with this metaphor for my mind. You know, my mind is a mansion, basically. The album was really emotional, it was really personal, and so it's just kind of like, hey, come into my mind, you know, like, come into my mansion, there's a bunch of different rooms, a bunch of different things I'm dealing with, and it kind of just...
This is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I said on the mansion reaction. It's exactly what I said, almost practically word for word. That his mind was the mansion. Come up in here and I'm going to be a tour guide for you, and I'm going to tour you around this mansion and show you all the rooms. This is exactly what I said.
You know, like, come into my mansion, there's a bunch of different rooms, a bunch of different things I'm dealing with, and it kind of just gave you little glimpses, you know, like different rooms,
100%.
different songs, you know. To be featured on Madden NFL 2016, I just feel really humbled that they put it on there. I feel like it was an introduction to me to the music industry. So it was like I didn't really need a fancy name. I felt like when someone listened to that song and you said, you know, what is this song about? It's like, it's an introduction to me. It's an intro, you know. So we put out an EP before the album, but it was more just I was still trying to find
those intro that went onto the video game.
You know, all I have in Wake Up around that. But I felt like this first album was the first, like, okay, this is NF, you know. First album out, I wanted the first song for people to be like, okay, this is something different, fresh. And yeah, the title to some people might suck, but I think it's like a raw, honest, like, hey, this is an intro, like, check it out.
Don't suck.
You know, this is who I am and what I'm doing right now. I wanted to do something that was more focused on lyrics and not like this big dramatic expensive music video. So when you hear the song intro, it's like, okay, this is a dope song, but when you see a visual, it makes you like really see like the passion, you know, that you can. I just wanted to get that across. Like when you hear intro, I want you to see me walking down the street and like you really believe what I'm saying because I mean what I'm saying. And it was funny to shoot because like I'm screaming running down the road. Like when you see it, it's like, oh, this is dope. But like while you're filming, it's hilarious because everyone's like watching you walk down the road, you know, wrapped up in caution tape. But I just wanted to make a basic video that portrayed the emotion that I was putting out there. There's just a lyric in the song that says, hang up the caution tape, I'm dangerous. So It was just kind of a statement that was like, I'm here, like, get ready.
That was
you
a
know
ball.
What I mean? So then I thought that lyric was kind of like dope. And
yeah,
I
that was a ball.
something else visually to tie into the video. So I thought it'd be dope if I just, you know, we wrapped me in caution tape.
Yeah, that was a ball.
And that was really funny, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird when I was like running down the street, but like when you wrap yourself up in caution tape,
smiling.
standing in the middle of the road, people are like, "This dude's crazy," you know. Cops are like driving by, like, "What the?"
All right. Well, that's the end of that. Yeah, I mean that was pretty cool. Is it quite interesting to get his thoughts on like him first coming into the music industry and how he started and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean just touching back on his influences, I mean there's nothing wrong by being influenced by one person, or you know, it doesn't matter who you're influenced by. You know, I mean always new artists are going to be influenced by someone. You know, otherwise, you know, there isn't that interest to pick up that pen and do what you want to do unless someone has made you interested in that, you know. And no one's just going to pick up a pen and automatically develop their own style from the first word that they put down on that paper. So, but even for people to say, you know, it's just another Eminem, even if you said that about him, he's just another Eminem. If I was NF, I wouldn't even feel a way about that. I'd be like, all right, well, you're just comparing me to one of, if not the greatest rapper who's ever existed. So, you know, I wouldn't even feel any type of way about that. But yeah, I mean, that was super cool. I might check out some more things like that actually. If you guys have got anything more like this that I could check out, just give me more insight, because I like once I start to like an artist, I do like to dive into them outside of their music. So like interviews, like as I see there on the screen, like funny moments from NF. You know, just to get to know them outside of their music, what their sort of personality is like and stuff like that. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, guys, if you liked it, let me know if there's anything else you might want to see me react to. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. Until I see you on the next one, guys. Laters.